Hello to Lecturing Out. Tonight is Thursday, it's the 2nd of May, and we are joined by the man with the moustache, Stephen.
Good evening, all.
My buddy Carl.
Howdy.
Or should I say, professional drone pilot, Carl.
Maybe.
Ooh.
And my darling wife, Tony.
Bonjour.
She's only got a C1.
What grade's cold then? Let's compare.
And I'm Bright to Level Eye. Thank you for tuning in. Shout out to Tailspin in the chat, Richard Warwick, Frank. I hope you're okay. I'll give you a call after the show.
Zero FPV. Hello.
Yeah, the wonderful mod, the first mod,
Ever.
like for the first man. Yeah,
Wow.
used to ply us with all the corrections and information before Frank. It was
Nice.
like, no, you
I'm hoping Frank will
misunderstand.
come
It's
on in a
this.
minute.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Frank. I think Frank's having a bit of a shitty day. So
Frank is
Sorry,
busy.
editor.
He's a busy guy right now.
I know.
Long days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Zero said morning. Where's Zero from?
Germany.
Huh. It's morning in
Just
Germany?
messing with
Might be
you.
on holiday or something. I don't know.
Could be
Mm.
in Asia. No, that's the wrong way. Could be,
Yeah, it'd be
You
Yeah,
just go
Asia.
back.
Asia, I guess. If it's
That's
morning.
off. It's about 3 in the morning there, isn't it?
Yeah.
9
Oh, 9 p.m.
Zero. Your efforts are appreciated.
I know.
So Cole,
Yeah, go
What's
on.
up?
Cole, fighting the regulations, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, speculating about lowercase J's. How's it going?
It's
Mm.
going. It's going well. I basically just passed my flight review yesterday for my advanced drone pilot certification in Canada.
Well done.
Do you still need a bit of time to figure out what you can and can't say?
No. I mean, I can't obviously probably say some
You can no longer
things.
admit to flying over government buildings at this point in time.
I don't think I've ever
Okay,
flown over a
it is.
government building.
Not outright, obviously, but it's just heavily implied.
I suppose. I suppose though. I never have flown over government buildings. Have I?
Stop trying to get my friend in trouble.
Yeah, I'm like
What's
I'm
wrong
trying
with
to
you,
think.
Stephen?
I'm
I
like-
know, like, Jesus. Like, we joke about Tony done Gatwick, but there was
Yeah, I
police
mean,
there.
Walk into that one.
And if he was doing Gatwick,
Cole
they would
is
have
the
taken
nicest,
him
most
away.
polite FPV pilot, and he's never flown anywhere without triply signed affidavits from everyone involved. So it's all good.
Well,
Yeah.
that's not true either. But
De-escalate audio.
Yeah.
but yeah, no. But yeah, to set the record straight, I have not flown over government buildings that I'm aware of. But so, but yeah,
They're
no,
gonna put
basically,
secret Canadian bunkers everywhere. What are you gonna do? What are
yeah,
you gonna
true. I guess you can't fly anywhere then. Yeah. But yeah, basically it was it was a process, man. It's I don't know like exactly how it's like for you guys in the UK. I mean, I have my basic stuff in the UK, but nothing like sort of advanced or anything like that. But it's quite the process, and maybe you guys can chime in and let me know how it is for you guys. But essentially, there's kind of like three steps to the equation. It's first you have to do your basic exam, which I think it's like 60 or 90 questions. I can't remember the amount of questions, but it's basically a certain number of questions you have to answer within a certain amount of time, and you need a certain percentage to pass. I think it's a 70. Let me just double check my. Let me
80,
just.
isn't it?
Because I
No,
remember,
for the
like,
for the basic one, I'm pretty sure. Sorry. Yeah, for the basic one, it's a 65% or higher is like the passing grade for the basic exam. And so I did that back in like 2019, actually, like quite a while ago now. I got my basic one, basically just like it was just a random thing. I was like, well, I fly drones. I let's see if I can get my basic exam just for the hell of it. It costs like $10 to do, and it's no sweat off my back. I just want to see if I could get it. Well, I ended up getting it, no problem, first try. So that was cool. And then basically how it works in Canada is you have to basically keep up with your recency every 2 years. So you don't have to retake your exam, but you do have to basically do some kind of, there's a few different things you can do to, keep up with the recency of it. Basically, it's just like just
Like
to
a
prove that
minimal
you,
check.
yeah, just to prove that you still know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did this with computer networking as well. You spend ages trying to get this massive certification for Cisco or one of these huge vendors, and it's thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours of time. And then you just like re-up it every couple of years and set like a 15-minute exam to prove that you haven't completely lost it.
Yeah, and that's basically what that was. So around 2021, actually my basic had like expired. I didn't realize, or it was about to expire or something, and I didn't realize it. And I also didn't realize that I could just do like a recency course or like a little sort of quick test kind of thing. So I was like, well, screw it. I guess I'll try for my advanced pilot license this time. And again, I just kind of did it on a whim, and then I like failed. I think I got like a 68 or something on it. And for the advanced exam, you have to get an 80% or higher to pass. So that was 2021. And I kind of was like, well, I'm not flying in any like controlled airspaces. I'm not doing any advanced operations that require it for me. So I still had I did a recency test so I could still have my basic. But then I just kind of said, well, whatever, like that's fine. And then, yeah, basically recently I just kind of was like, well, it's been a while. If I do want to do any, work in controlled airspace going forward, maybe I should, have the right regulate, or, sort of try to follow the regulations and make sure I'm doing things properly so I don't get, in trouble, basically. Because there's some pretty like hectic fines you can get. And I mean, I'm trying to represent the drone community and the quad community as best as I can. I don't want to be doing shit that's going to get us in more trouble and take our our sort of like luxuries away, right? So so like basically it was like last week I went and I did the advanced exam for the second time, and well, I got a 68% on it. Or sorry, I got a 78% on it, which was, I was one question off from getting that 80% threshold, where I was like, damn. And it's not an easy test, man. It's like, it's not just like, so how do you fly a drone? How do you land a drone? It's like, you have to know about airspace. You have to know about, like flight patterns. You have to know about NOTAMs, which are notice to airmen's, about like anything to just be aware of. You have to, weather is another thing. You have to know basically like your like how far away you are from any local aerodromes or heliports or airports. And basically aviation type stuff, because realistically, I mean, we are sort of sharing the airspace if you're doing advanced operations, because you can fly higher, you can fly closer to things, you can, all that kind of stuff. So like I said, it wasn't an easy, it wasn't so in Canada it's actually notice to airmen, but I don't know if it's notice to air missions in UK, but in Canada it's notice to airmen. But yeah, so essentially, so I did the test. I got 78, not at 80. So then I had to wait 24 hours to do the test again. And then the next day at like 10 o'clock at night, I ended up doing the test again, and I actually got 80 this time. So like I just passed. So I was like, okay, basic exam done. Okay, advanced exam done. So basically 2 of the 3 parts were successfully completed, but the last portion is a flight review. So it's an actual like in-person flight review with a certified flight reviewer through Transport Canada, and basically I have to go there and I have to prove like that, essentially that I know how to conduct a safe operation of a drone, essentially. And what's up?
Did you do that with a FPV drone, or did you do it with a DJI Hover It drone?
Yeah, I just did it with a DJI drone because honestly, like if I'm going to be doing advanced operations in stuff like that, I would say 99 times out of 10 I'll be using a DJI drone for that type of stuff. But yeah, so I use a little DJI drone, and you know what the crazy part is like some of the main parts about the flight review aren't even the flying, which seems kind of strange. And
Safety
Steven, I know
yeah,
I know I know you did like a thing to get your certs somewhat recently, right?
Exactly the same with the racing thing. Most of it wasn't, are you a good racer? It was, is it safe to take off? Like, have you looked around you and made sure that you've got space and that you're in an area? Do you know how high you can fly? Do you know if there's any hazards? Have you got a system to spot hazards once you take off and all this stuff?
Totally.
Just planning for what you're going to be doing and making sure that you know you're going to be able to do it safely. That was probably 80% of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And really that's what it was. That was what it was like for me too. It's basically like, do you know how to properly plan an advanced operation? Really, it's like so checklists are a huge thing. You know, like pre-flight checklist is like probably like one of the main things. Really, it's like, is your equipment up to snuff? Is like, have you not consumed alcohol or drugs in the last 12 hours or blah 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 blah. Like, there's there's this really good app made by this guy named Don Joyce. He's on YouTube. It's Don Drones On. It's called the Drone Pilot Canada app. And it's honestly like a game changer as far as like checklists, procedures, emergencies, proximity to heliports, aerodromes, yada, yada. And all the checklists are basically in this app. You can plan your flights, you can log your flights, you can have all your checklists there. And it's basically really helped me to wrap my head around everything I need to do before, after, or in the case of an emergency. So it's pretty cool though. I mean, the really weird thing that I found about it is that all these pre-flight checklists and the sort of like, you know, the proper steps to take beforehand is like, we don't even think about it consciously before flying half the time because it's just second nature. It's like, look at your drone, make sure it's fit to fly, make sure the propellers aren't broken, make sure it's not cracked or whatever. It's like, you're not pulling out a checklist normally to be like, okay, are propellers fine? Is this fine? But like, because you're gonna know before you go fly if your drone is
you've got to tell the instructor or whoever's examining you that I'm not someone that's just walked out of Target with one of these and ripped off the shrink wrap, right? You've got to tell them, I know what I'm doing. I'm aware that this can hurt people, and I'm going to take steps to make sure that doesn't happen.
Exactly.
I mean,
and that's fair. Yeah.
I mean, even if Cole was a person who bought one from Walmart, I think the hoops that he had to jump through, the steps that he's taken to get to that point, defeats whether he does recreational for FPV or not. But I do realize that, like, oh crap, we do learn a lot of terms and aviation things via osmosis. Yeah. Because, like, I've never really thought to tell Cole what a NOTAM is. And, you know, and a MRI, a mandatory incident report, whatever.
Oh, incident reports and stuff. Oh, FIRs and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember what they're called. Frank will know. Chris G, if you're listening to this or watching this, he's gonna spank me.
Is that like when you're at work and you accidentally like catch yourself with a screwdriver and you have to fill in an accident report?
mandatory occurrence report. Yeah. So.
And here we call them just incident report or whatever. It's just tomato really. And you know what, I actually, in the whole process, what I actually discovered is that I would say like a huge portion of anybody that flies drones doesn't know any of this shit. And that's fine and dandy.
Well, if you do know it, you intuit it. You're like, that's a dumb thing to do, but you don't know the letter of the law necessarily.
Well, exactly. And I think like the most intimidating part for me, I think, of the whole process was like thinking that it was so above my head and so over my like grasp of like knowledge or concepts or whatever that I wasn't going to be able to I didn't think I would be able to actually like to do it. Just, I guess I doubted myself a bit, but when you actually look at what is required, it makes perfectly logical sense. Oh,
you will solder this properly, Cole. This is how you do it. Oh, how the tables have turned.
It's just like, don't be dumb, and you have to check like, I am not dumb.
Not
and
dumb.
Like, are you really sure you're not dumb? And you have to go, yes, I'm really, really sure.
Other people
telling
him he's dumb that I had to undo, pick apart.
Well, I mean, the thing is too is like, it's literally like, don't do anything stupid. If you're going to be flying a drone that's over 250 grams in controlled airspace, get the proper clearance and let the air traffic control know that you're going to be there and make sure that you're allowed to be there. And again, don't be a dickhead. It's like it does.
I mean, that is rule number one. We've said it before. We say it flippantly, but look, that is 90% of it. Like, just don't be an idiot. And there's
don't be on fire. Don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. Yeah.
So many ways you can be an idiot without setting out to be an idiot, and you just end up in that group without. Oh shit! Here I am. I got angry. I was in a hurry.
Yeah.
I didn't check something. It's just like a check on all of those impatiences and annoyances that you have as someone who just wants to get something done. It reminds you, oh, actually, it's pretty dangerous, and take a breath, slow down, double check.
What did Frank say here? He says, PSA, are you thinking of flying your drone through a crowded school out of sight into an airport? Yeah, try not doing that. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and well, it's funny too, because like I said, like the majority of this flight review was just like the pre-flight checklist, making sure I know how to look up the the phone numbers of the heliports or the air traffic control and know what class airspace I'm in and whatnot. And when it comes to like the actual practical flying portion of it, it's like, okay, take off and hover. Okay, do a control check. Make sure forward and backwards and left and right and whatever is what it is. Okay, now fly here, do a little circle, do a little square, do some figure eights. Okay, can you go around this object? Like, can you prove that you're able to do this? Jack is raising his hand.
Did you ever go, when do I do the foot test?
The foot test?
I would have loved to. Yeah. I'd like. There's nothing wrong with the foot test. The foot test is.
Don't have to power loop the obstacle.
Yeah, with a DJI quad for sure. Yeah.
Foot test, man. It's the way forward. Stephen was horrified by that.
I was horrified by it too, because the first time that we built a quad together, Jack, you did the foot test and the quad went pling.
Yeah, I've taken to running mine on really weak, like DC power supplies instead of putting a LiPo on them. So I give them a power supply that's so weak that if it freaks out, the power supply just drops out and nothing happens. Basically,
just give it just enough to maybe do something, and then it'll
It can like spin the props about half as much power as a desk fan gives you, and any more than that, it just goes boop, boop and resets the ESC. So I'm like, are they spinning? Are they spinning in the right direction? Great.
Yeah. Has anyone done a speed run of the practical test?
Well, anyone would admit to doing a speed run of the practical test.
You can't discuss it, I don't think.
Yeah. But I mean, I mean, for the most part, though, like again, it's straightforward stuff. If you if you do your homework, it's straightforward stuff. And I mean, honestly, if you are planning to do stuff that's outside of basic operations, I think it's well worth it to even just get educated, even if you're not like it's I don't know. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, did you do did I talk about batteries and cells and charging and stuff like that on that test?
No. Like on the actual written test? I mean, maybe more just in the sense of like if a lipo fire occurs, but nothing to do with like charging or voltage or yeah.
Well, I had that on mine.
Redundant. If a lipo don't be on fire.
Yeah, and I mean, and the whole point of, I guess, having like a fire extinguisher with you in the case of a lipo fire is just to put out anything that's near it, not the actual lipo, because that's not gonna.
Have you got the lipo in a container that you can throw? Have you got an open window?
Yeah, that's what I told you from Frank. Frank went to the fireman, asked, "What do I do with a lipo fire? Is there a special fire extinguisher?" And they went, "No. All the fire extinguisher's for is to stop other things being on fire from the lipo. That's it."
Yeah.
Don't put them in ammo cases, because all the ammo cases are designed to do is stop the elements getting to the ammunition.
Yeah.
If you put a lipo in an sealed ammo box, it can't vent. And we've watched them jump from the ceiling back to the floor to the ceiling again.
No way.
Yeah, and hot plasma coming out of whatever orifice it can until it blows. Jesus. And then you've got... So not only is it A, on fire, B, you then have shrapnel, and C, whilst all that's happening, it's smashing things as well at the same time.
Wow.
So you don't just have...
I've got a massive bomb outside
of fire and death. And it's like... Bat safe. Get a bat safe box. Frank got 2. I got a really massive one because Tony was like, I was charging a battery. It decided to go. It didn't just be on fire. It decided to leap off of where I was charging it and then try and set the floor on fire.
That's exactly why I don't keep any lipos in my house ever. Not gun ones, not anything. The little ones I use for my airsoft. Nope.
Yeah. So if you try and walk into Tony's house with lipos, he just screams out at you. It's just
lipos are they can be scary, man. They can be scary.
They are just wonderful sticks of death, of fire and death.
And that's why safety is important.
Yeah,
definitely.
Don't do what I do and just have a little rumble bag full of delicious cells. I know. You want to, mate, if you, like Frank said, no, to be fair, I do take them up. If you're house insurance and you're watching this, I do. But yeah, it's they're fun. You get really nice, but yeah, be careful. They really do. These are discarded vape batteries, and they've got really tiny wires. And I was carrying one, and they shorted, and it burnt a really small, deep hole into my hand.
Nice.
So
it's not fun. It's fun when like Dreamliners, the big plane, used lipos. They had lots of lipo fires, didn't they? On there,
really,
when it first come out, the Dreamliner did.
Frank, safety is our number 4 priority.
Is he home now? Was he watching this for a while walking home?
Legal notice.
Cole, do you want to read that? Seeing as you are the most qualified out of all of us now, you're going to be telling me what to do.
Am I the most qualified? Well, no.
Yeah,
Tony, you've got
A2.
And Steven, what do you have?
For what?
Like license wise?
I've just got the standard casual flying thing and the A2 racing certificate.
Okay.
Expired. I don't know. I probably
My CV says I
my
was
A2
professional.
runs out
don't do
2025.
commercial stuff though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah, it's, I don't know. It does seem like, Martian McFly is in the chat. He's 3 weeks late. Oh,
They're like the never.
yeah. I don't know. I've always kind of been like bored and yawning at like the whole talks about registration and regulations and all that kind of stuff. I'm always just been like, not this again. Everyone's always talking about this, and it's so boring. But and it is kind of boring. I mean, it's homework. Like you literally have to do homework to like. And I don't know about you guys, but I've never liked doing homework. So like I basically had to force myself into an uncomfortable state on purpose, and I had to pay money to be uncomfortable and do homework. So it's like not homework. But I don't know. In a lot of ways, I guess it's, it's better to know than not to know. So that's my kind of thought process on it.
My class was online. It was during the pandemic, so I didn't have to do any flight thing. But there was a classroom of, there's about 8 of us doing the same test, I think. So we all sort of met online at a certain time, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it.
Well, it's almost like you're back in high school or something, or university. It's like I literally had to study. I had to go through so many documents. Like I literally have like a semi binder, not binder, but like I think I printed off like just a crap ton of paper just so I could go through everything, make sure I wrap my head around everything. And I don't know, it's weird. It's not a bad thing, but it's it technically is a good thing. But like I said before, like I've never been a fan of homework, but sometimes you just have to suck it up and
Yeah. I didn't enjoy doing it at all, but force myself.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, the only use for me of it, if I even end up using it, like it is almost more of like just I want to almost prove it to myself that I could get it, because it's technically the it's the most advanced drone pilot license you can get in Canada, other than being a flight reviewer. That's kind of like the next kind of progression. If I ever plan on flying in controlled airspace, I want to make sure that I'm doing it properly and that I don't get myself in trouble. That's really what it is. Because, it's one thing to do. It's one thing to do like a DJI unlock, but a lot of times if you're in controlled airspace, you actually need to get a specific code from the the regulatory bodies that are, kind of working with it. So it's like to get a DJI unlock code, you have to get a code from NavDrone or Nav Canada, essentially, to say, okay, yeah, you are able to fly in here. So punch this code in and you're good to go. So it's like if that ever happens, I now know what the steps are to take to do that. So
nice.
Yeah.
You might be able to use it for your photography,
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking is like, I don't always know where I'm going to be doing a shoot or whatnot, but if there's a shoot and they're like, hey, can you fly a drone? And I'll say, well, most likely I know what to do now. So yeah. Although technically, like I didn't do it so I can like, okay, now I'm going to take on a bunch of drone jobs or anything like that. It was just kind of like it was just mostly a test for myself. Honestly, I'm just like, I want to see if I have half a brain cell, or if I have the brain capacity to get it, because I don't think everybody does, and because if everybody did have it, then everybody would have it. So there was a statistic actually where like only a certain percentage of all drones that are registered and drone pilots that are registered in Canada actually have the advanced drone license. So I don't know. I guess it's kind of.
You should take advantage of it and use it, mate.
I know. Well, yeah. I gotta see. I gotta see what I can do. But yeah, is what it is. I guess I have it now. So see what happens. Yeah.
Earn some money.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I have a buddy of mine who he basically is like, he's a like big wig in like basically the film industry in Canada for as a drone operator. And actually another reason why I got it kind of was like, he hit me up the one day and he was like, hey man, like, do you have your advanced license and what drone do you have and whatever? Because I think sometimes he might want like, you know, a secondary person with him or whatever. And I was like, shit, man, like I don't have that stuff, but I probably should have that stuff. So why the fuck not? Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I had someone contacted me, one of our viewers, and said they send me a trellis if I need it. So thank you very much. He's in the chat tonight. I think that's the one.
GFPV. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's lovely. That's nice.
Yeah. He doesn't use it anymore. So
will you make sure you take the battery out of it and flash it?
Replace it with nickel metal hydrides, because this is 1984 and it's the best we can do.
Tony can't be trusted to charge them.
But I'm going to test mine the weekend to see.
Maybe considered like you could fly on nickel metal hydrides as well for more safety.
You can't.
Yes, I could go slower.
You could fly technically.
Will it take off?
Yeah, just about. You just need a lot of them. You're probably not going to be doing a lot of power loops.
What about tethered? I'll do that instead.
Well, yeah, I mean that would be safer. Yeah, you could just spin it around and let the dog chase it.
She don't chase it.
I came across this April 30th, 2018. Wanksot is on its hook, ready for Thursday. Do you remember posting that?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, you still should have made some socks, like a line, you know.
That became very fashionable for some reason. Custom socks.
Yeah,
very fashionable and quite expensive.
I still think you should do your pictures on t-shirts, Jack.
Oh yeah, those. Weirdly enough, there's still. I think Frank's got his picture on his fridge, and I signed it, Jack, age 4, and I forgot I'd done that. And I think that's what he did.
I think I've got a contract in one of these drawers here from you.
I've got a contract for Simon where he's not allowed to ask me like what his switches do on his radio.
Yeah, I can't remember what your contract is. I think you have to do something for me.
Yeah,
I got it as a birthday present.
You've got one where Danny has to be a footstool for you as well. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You should have claimed that. That would have been funny.
Oh, dear.
This is a story where a mutual friend of ours, we meet for Tony's birthday for a birthday curry, and I handed round a birthday card and was like, sign this. And when it came to that person, I slid a bit of paper over the top of it and he signed it and then went, thank you, now sign the card, and then handed Tony, and it basically said, I agree to whilst Jack's building a quad for Tony, I will be his footstool. And that's where there is a contract for that somewhere.
Contract's out.
Which is funny. And then I went to the people left and right and got them to witness it and date it. So technically, that's legally binding.
It's a real thing. I'm gonna find that for next week.
Only if he
I
was
don't
aware
have
of the implications of the contract when he signed it, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, he wasn't.
Yeah.
I'll be back in a sec.
Good effort, nonetheless.
I don't have a mini tricopter. I'd love to buy it back. Frank knows who I sold it to. But I do have a full size tricopter, but it's got a NAS, a F1 chip on it.
Yeah,
so
I mean, if only people had figured out a way to properly control brushless motors, then we wouldn't need servos. If only someone could, I don't know, maybe one day.
Like active braking on
we can hope.
ESCs as well to
Yeah, it's just never going to happen. I think we're just going to have to get used to that, And
it's
just
hard enough making.
That's why we're all flying tricopters.
You can't reverse. Have the
can't cross the streams, Jack. You just
or FET fire in a certain order to reverse the reaction. You have to manually solder the bullet connectors and then rearrange them.
Yeah, and once you've soldered up half a kilo of bullet connectors, you're probably going to need 18-inch props because, let's face it, you can't buy batteries with more than 3 cells. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
No.
People might be listening to this.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to say thank you.
If we do end up going to war and I have to be a drone pilot, they get so desperate that they recruit me.
Jack, you're going to be the footstool.
Be the tricopter of death. Like everyone flies quads, and I'm flying the tricopter that'll probably blow myself up.
Little all down, guys. There's just one guy left. He's got a multi-wii. It's gonna take a while.
I'm being efficient. I'm using one less motor for the war.
It just says.
They are suicide drones. So.
We shouldn't joke about it. Oh God.
You crazy farts.
Frank, come on the show and talk about the new exciting type of tricopter, unless you can't talk about it because the government's listening. Oh God, my back is killing.
They often do.
Maybe Andrew/Frank has actually seen a special type of hybrid tricopter, which now has
one that
6
actually
rotors.
Works.
It's like 2 tricopters joined together.
We can do that. All we'll need is tape. And
all
2
we ever
tricopters.
need is tape.
Titan Blue Sack works every time.
But the thing is, there to be 2 functional tricopters, so I think we're stuck there.
Frank, we need to make a potato tricopter and fly it into
there's a rule
Sweden.
that you can never fly more than 1 tricopter at an event at once. It's like the people who have monoskis, you see snowboarders and you see skiers, but if you look out over a ski resort, there's going to be 1 guy on a monoski, and there's only ever 1.
With no friends.
Yeah.
Sounds like Jack.
Rule.
Sounds like tricopter, Jack. Oh, you've got loads of friends, haven't you? Bless.
But yeah, but you ever see 2 tricopters together? That's the thing. There's only 1 tricopter. That's just it in the world.
And it's shared between like a brain cell and an orange cat.
It's constantly on the move, couriered around the country, around the world, even.
I have come across this as well. Do you remember this, Tony? He killed it with fire.
Yeah.
What was that?
That was
me setting light to
I wonder what happened here. Race flight board. Oh, look at the wobble.
Look at that wobble.
That's PID tune, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a complete lack of filtering and indeed flight performance.
Ugh.
And
yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I've never seen a drone fly like that before in my goggles.
That field now is a massive housing estate with a school.
Ah.
Tony would
How
know.
many years
He
ago
hangs
was it?
around outside the school. Not after the kids. He's like, I'll have a go at any MILFs or teachers.
Beta flight. Okay. Oh. Much better.
But that's only a fair test if he removed just the flight controller and used the same frame, motors, and props.
Yeah,
wow, look at that. That's a real flying quad right there.
Night and day, isn't it?
What date is this? I can't see much of the video there.
Probably. How many years ago was that?
2017, maybe 2016.
Oh wow, that's
I'm
barely
guessing.
beta flight then, like just
But-
out of clean flight.
I can't believe that.
Oh,
that
they started
build now is
building the.
literally.
Yes.
Oh.
I don't think I flew through that.
Oh, I was waiting for it.
I can't remember, but I just know that this whole estate is
Gone.
gone.
Man,
that's it's just an
flies
estate.
great.
now.
That flies. So, what base flight is? Because I don't have the history. So,
Base flight was the first ever one that I ever put on. Was it base flight? No, there was one before that I put on.
Multi-wee.
No, it wasn't.
Open toilet.
Open toilet. It was.
open toilet.
It was- that's
Open
what we
pilot,
call it. It's
renamed
open-
to Libre pilot, and
Yeah.
rapidly dropped because it was toilet.
Ah. So, what was the actual name you said? Sorry.
Open pilot.
Open pilot,
Oh, open pilot. So okay. So, what was so bad about them though? Was it just like the interface, or the flight performance, or
Yes.
the?
basically.
Like with open pilot, instead of calibrating the way they calibrated the ESCs is instead of doing them all at the same time, it done each ESC individually, so they weren't calibrated necessarily with the same stick movements. It depended on what happened for each one of them.
And I think with open pilot, the goal there was really just to see if you could get a camera in the air. It really didn't set out to do much more than that. And of course, people tried to do acrobatic flying with it, and you smash right up against the limitations.
Yeah.
Hang on. Let's go to YouTube and
Then I think it was base flight, and then it was DOMS, clean flight, then beta, and then going between beta and clean, and that was it really.
Yeah. This hopefully we won't get copyright striked. It'll be hilarious if Painless did that. But this is Cole. This is what quads used to look like.
Yeah,
that's what your last build looked like.
I know that looks like a house brick that's been covered in carbon fiber, but it's not. That is actually a
brick.
road. Not
That's a what,
penis.
sorry?
Not penis.
We all know that one. Everyone's watched Bottom.
Yeah, sorry, Charlotte. I need to show you Bottom. So this is open.
It doesn't look too
Sound
far off.
clip that, please.
Yeah. If you can personally email that to me, Peter, that'd be much appreciated. So this is Open Pilot. You downloaded it, and we.
House bricks. Did someone say house bricks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like an alien, kind of, right?
No, it doesn't. It
No?
looks like that's a house brick.
Looks as tall as an alien.
There's like 2 inches between the bottom and top plates.
The difference is with the alien is
But the arms are like 2 mil thick.
Yeah. The arms are thicker on the alien. These are literally 2 mil carbon arms, so they flop around
Right.
like one of those flexible rulers.
This is a 5-inch quad, and the arms are as thick top to bottom as my 2-inch quads are. To put that in perspective, you've got a 2205 motor here, rattling a piece of carbon that these days would only have like a 1204 motor on.
Oh.
And you'd have a bigger aerial antenna than that
wobbles.
as well.
It
Yeah.
wobbles.
Yeah, if this was a sexual encounter, the term thumbing it in would be.
Everything was bigger back then as well. That's what she said.
That connector is a Dean's connector.
Oh yeah, that's weird. That looks so really weird.
So it's not even an XT60. That's a Dean's connector, which means that if you
Dean?
later on continued using them, you could pull so much current that they would fuse together, and you could then no longer unplug them. This is
they were just bad. They were just bad.
Well, they're spring-loaded. They're simple spring-loaded plates. The Dean's connectors. They're not great design.
Made, and the plastic is literally one step away from a Dairy Lee slice.
You get them on cheap RC cars still, and the first thing I do is just desolder them and put an XT60 on there.
Yeah.
I think
they've got probably, if they work correctly, they should carry as much current as an XT60, but mechanically they're nowhere near as robust. But they've got a decent amount of contact area, and the pin is quite chunky. It's just that mechanically they're dog shit and they rattle apart and they come unplugged.
Yeah.
Weird. And how? Why are they named Deans? Any idea what that is, or who Dean is? Houdini?
I know. All I do is I cut them off and then throw them at either Tony or Andy RC, whoever's in my presence. That is a Spectrum satellite receiver. You can't bind a normal Spectrum. Well, technically it's not. Actually, it's an Orange RX, which is a third party, but it's based on the Spectrum satellite receiver. And the normal satellite receiver, you had to plug it into another receiver in order to bind to it, and then you could unplug it and use it on its own. But yeah, that's a Orange RX, which is basically the same, but third party, made by Hobby King.
Back in the days when you're wondering, is that an extra battery or is that receiver? Because they were roughly the same size.
They were the same size. Do you remember?
And the antennas were the average penis size for someone suffering from micro penis. That wire and connector, there's no TX and RX. It's not digital. They're
what are those
PWM.
Plugs on the end of that? Are those plugs?
That is
that goes onto your fire controller, mate.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was like electrical tape.
The receiver.
Plug that in.
They plug into the receiver.
Yeah, PWM into the receiver, PWM out to the motors, fucking PWM everywhere. It takes an age to actually respond to anything. Yeah.
Instead of, you'll see the painless there. Instead of cutting the ESC wires down, he's folded them on itself and then cable tied. That is quite a neat job.
That is why the gap between the bottom plate and the top plate used to be so big.
Frank,
to fit all that crap in.
And the camera, I guess, too, right? Because the big cameras back there.
There's no camera on this.
CCTV.
It's cameraless if you look. It's conspicuously absent, and there is no VTX on the back either.
So this is just for line of sight then?
Yeah. This thing flew so badly, you don't want a camera on that. If you want the same
unless you're going to take a bucket with you every time you go flying.
Yeah. If you want the same experience, just wear one of those sleeping blindfolds, get on your nearest office chair, and spin round whilst rocking your head side to side, singing "I'm a Happy Teapot."
Oh man!
So, believe it or not, the reason why this is so tall and wide is the battery isn't actually supposed to go on top; it's supposed to go inside.
Oh yeah,
this is based on
inside, isn't it?
The Lumineer QAV 250.
Oh, that's right. It used to hang out the back, didn't it?
Tony has one. Tony, would you like to go get it?
I don't know where it is.
It's in your display case on the middle shelf.
Oh, do we really need to see it?
SPV says that Dean's has a patent. That XT60 is free. That's why Dean's isn't as common anymore, I guess. Or isn't as
good
common.
thing too, because it's toilet.
And for a start, SPV, if you don't want to get timed out, that's Zero's job. I'm joking. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that was that wasn't the
Zero.
one
You're slacking.
QAV250. I'm just looking at it now. They're still selling these. They're still selling these things. You know, Holy Bro still sell a QAV250 kit.
Yeah. No one wants it. It then changed to a open source thing, and it changed to Libra Pilot. So if you do want to fly it, you can fly it on that. There is a list of
quick question.
links.
What do you think the current going rate is for a QAV 250 with 2207 motors, 5-inch props that they promise are made of plastics, you know they're the good ones, and an FPV kit, including an OSD?
1,200 pounds.
No, lower.
800 pounds.
No, it's actually quite reasonably priced. They're going for $480.
Oh. So the cost of a bind and fly.
Yeah, but for the cost of a cutting-edge bind and fly from, say, iFlight or somewhere like that, you could have a piece of history with a video antenna that, you know, is quite seriously phallic.
Well, actually, I was just watching. I don't know if you guys caught Curry's newest video where he's been dealing with. Well, he was trying to figure out the better, trying to get better range out of his walk snail goggles, I guess. Well, I guess antennas play a huge role in that because he slapped on some Menace RC antennas on it and basically got almost no breakup. So that's pretty cool.
If you're watching this video from Painus 360 titled CC3D Flight Controller Radio Setup Firmware Install and Testing, you'll notice that there's a folder on Lee's desktop that says MultiWii. Please use that for the love of God. So here is the Open Pilot. Look at that with the graphics.
Wow.
And
it's plane.
I like how the airplane goes past the
controller.
Wizard.
Yeah. So we end up calling it Open Toilet. So here we will have the welcome to the Open Pilot Setup Wizard, and instead of Clippy the paperclip, you've got a demented owl that looks like it's been drawn by someone experimenting on illicit drugs with a wizard hat on. Always the sign of quality.
You will never fly like me, little ones. You can never fly like me.
Yeah, especially with the upgrade button is the biggest stretch. Whether it is really an upgrade, you're better off. You could flash Peter Flight to a CC3D, but you have less features because there's not enough room because the bootloader's taking stuff up. PWM, each cable holds a signal for each flight mode and switch. PPM.
Man, this whole
one cable.
This software just scares me.
I mean, did you ever use Windows?
Moderator, fixed wing,
standard for the time. Software interfaces were absolute. The one thing that mobile phones did when everyone had a phone in their pocket was people had to actually consider how to write software interfaces. Until that point, it was just a programmer throwing a bunch of text on screen with some checkboxes. And if you were lucky, he drew like a crappy little cartoon diagram at the same time. That was as far as it went.
Yeah.
I know.
If you noticed... Oh, sorry, Carl. If you noticed earlier on, helicopters grayed out. They don't trust this software to helicopters. Helicopters are so wild that it's just not safe with this software.
Why did they even put the picture on it in the first place? Why did they even include that if it's not
hopes and dreams, mate? It's just, if you throw enough poo at the wall, hopefully the developers might get around to cleaning it.
I've been hearing some interesting stuff from Rotorflight. That seems to be getting a bit of a cult following, and the heli guys.
Really? Yeah, we might need to talk to those guys. Here we have the standard ESC.
Well, they're led by a mysterious character called Dr. Rudder, which I thought, might be someone that Jack would like to talk to.
Definitely up Jack's street.
I don't know. If he was called Dutch Rudder, then
we don't know what that's short for. If he doesn't give a first name.
Yeah. And then the rapid ESCs are only 490 hertz. Yeah. So once you select that, you plug it in, you wire it up. It gives you a little dialog box with a diagram, and then you connect your batteries. I have removed all propellers from all the motors of my vehicle. The vehicle is not powered by any external power source but USB, and I confirm that I have read and understood all the instructions in full. And the steps are: confirm all safety questions, press stop, and it becomes enabled, battery not connected, connect the battery to your frame, wait for the ESC calibration beeps, press the stop button, wait for the ESC beeps, and then disconnect
the
battery. Now, what would happen is if this went wrong, it was like if you left the props on, it would go full throttle into your face, and trying to disarm this thing or stop it was like trying to beat a wild animal to death that's trying to attack and kill you with what I can only describe as a soggy newspaper. It's happened once to me. I still had 4 dents in my ceiling where the motors just hit. And it was carnage.
They were the good old days. You're lucky you had fingers.
I know, yeah. It was like you just didn't know whether you were going to have a penis by the end of this procedure.
I'm quite happy that we live in a world where you can indulge in this hobby without buying like 2 oyster shucking gloves and a cod piece before you start.
Right.
Yeah. You balk at the foot test. This was like Russian roulette with knives. Where the gun isn't enough.
This is why I'm just happy that I've always flown what I've flown, never had any issues like this.
You're lucky, man.
It assumes you're flying mode 2. You tell it what mode. It doesn't read the signals to be like, this is what you've got. You set your switches into certain positions, and you've got a slider. It's horrendous. But yeah, the ESC calibration.
We got the flight footage. The flight footage, Jack.
Yeah,
the flight footage.
I noticed. I'm sorry, but yeah, Lee's a maverick. Lee not putting the battery inside.
I think
he's a wild card.
We're losing you a bit, Jack. I think.
You're
better break
a
up
little bit. It's okay though.
Someone's watching Netflix.
Yeah.
I found the old Lumineer.
Hang on. We'll
get
there
you go. Under there, look. Oh, it's flying.
Wow. It looks pretty stable.
Looks like it's flying all right.
Yeah. Just because
Oh, that's a chunky boy.
Look at the Simon K ESCs under there.
Wow. Yeah. That's a thick
boy. Look at this.
Oh yeah, that's way bigger than an alien. That's way wider.
Oh my god! Look at all that strapped up in there and everything.
Wow.
Oh my god!
And what? And
I think I had a little bit of tilt on my camera, tiny bit,
a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you put the battery in there. It's a bit dusty.
But the question is, would you ever fly it again?
I think I want to do it. I think I want to fly it. Just
those props.
Yeah. These are I can't remember, bullnose.
HQ.
Are these HQ bullnose?
BAL. Dow, are they?
Well, they might be Dow ones. I remember they come onto the scene and they were very hard to break.
Can you still connect that to a radio though?
I don't know. We might have to
in theory, yes, because in there is a
what is it?
D4R2.
Frisky business.
There is a D4R2 in there actually.
Yeah,
I love the front of it. It looks like an insect with its with the
Antenna.
yeah, the bunny ears, as we used to call them.
And that's for the receiver, obviously, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they might get sucked down into the props.
Put the battery in there.
Not with the amount of thrust that thing's
And then
producing. It
crash, the battery would carry on through inertia.
Well, you'd put it would go straight into the flight controller. I remember.
Perfect design. Perfect design.
Yeah. Stabbed with the pins.
It was put the battery in there, and if you put your GoPro on the front, it used to balance it out. I think that was why they did that.
Wow.
But yeah, it used to whack into the flight controller and smash everything up.
It got worse. Hang on. Let me show you.
I would like to fly that again one day. We should do a video on it or something, Jack, one day.
Hang on. What is it? The QAV 250 ARM.
You used to buy it was all in one plate, wasn't it? You have to buy the
ARM extensions. Does it?
Oh
does it
god,
show
yeah,
them?
good ones.
No.
I think we might have to search Google for it.
I did get them once.
Look at this.
ARM extensions? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mean,
It's fucking stupid.
you mean like resonant frequency extensions?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
It was a thing. I bought them.
There you go.
So you could run a bigger prop?
Yeah. They were machined out of aluminium. Hang on.
Oh my gosh,
so
that must have been horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't help much.
Oh my gosh.
So this is QAV's website. So at one point there was the Fury Power distribution board, so that would supply power. This is a Mobius camera, Carl. So
I know I remember we talked about that before. Mobius,
yeah. So these were the angled motor mounts. So they were machined out of aluminium, and they tilted the motors forward. Instead of tilting the whole quad, you just kind of pull yourself along.
So you wouldn't have to. Your camera angle would still be flat, but you just have your motors like this, and that's what you don't have to pitch forward. Basically, the motors are already pitched forward. Wow.
Yeah,
that's so weird. That is so weird.
I think we should design a quad around that.
SPV said Pilot was great on fixed wing. I got my first CC3D board from Australia. It had a supporting long range telemetry module, and you could control it from your laptop.
Wow.
And that, I believe, was called Mavlink.
Ah, that's cool. That's pretty cool.
I know. So, yeah. Unfortunately, that is all we've got time for. I hope you enjoyed that trip from memory lane. We will do more of that on our Patreon stream. I will be going through old ass, I think the first one we will do a sort of timeline of going through the different flight controller software and what forked from what. And we'll do that as a bonus pod, me and Cole. Massive thank you to all our lovely Patreons who keep this going and makes Frank's life a hell of a lot easier, especially with dealing with us. And if you're listening to this audibly on, iTunes or your favorite podcast platform, it's been lovingly edited by our Patreon. So please consider sponsoring us. Being joined by the man with the mustache, Stephen.
Cheers. Bye.
The fully certified Cole.
See ya.
Wifey.
Thanks, G. I might take you up on the transmitter. I'll let you know. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Jip Jip, and I've been Bright to Fly. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.